Bula FM nambando na serena iwan siningaw na ni batara ni sibiti ko weekend na diwa en na tini na miniti na may pakuriti ora bengrabe na nontang nonongo kanda na dapat ko ani na rona kaloko en ay kabende de bob ni na tay wali ni may dapat ko na wani matakabo kan lib sarti ko na biser talio ni na namaka do batit ko may kina na kenan daw ro di kanamaki Bula binaka ayo salbilawa do batakia wana batara na wani vio na kaloko moni tiki na barumbuka en Bula FM nambandua en na serena
In this bulletin, Fiji records continuous increase in stroke cases over the last 4 decades. PNG to hand over remainder of 50 million Kina elections planned to Fiji. And Film Fiji anticipates a bigger number of movie productions to be shot in Fiji. Good evening, Fiji. I'm Akusita Talei, and this is FBC News. At least 2,000 people in Fiji will have suffered a stroke at any one time, and efforts are now underway to make people be aware that stroke can affect anyone. Sakyu Sanaivo reports.
And that helps us.
Fiji has seen rising incidences of stroke over the last 4 decades, indicating that more action is needed to reduce the risk of stroke.
Counter-stroke was set up in 1988 as a response to the increasing numbers of stroke persons, people suffering and experiencing a stroke. And right now we have a current membership of about 20 paid up people. Our program is mainly about education and awareness, prevention of stroke, and also giving advice to those who've had a stroke.
Statistics reveal that 1 in 5 people will have a stroke during their lifetime, and 81% of people with cardiovascular diseases will have a stroke. The youngest person in Fiji to suffer a stroke was 12 years old.
Disability is like it's like a setback for everyone's mind. Like whenever they see a person with this who is disabled, like they'll just consider them as a big no-no. So, but for us, we are just advocating and trying to tell the people out there, like we people with disabilities should have the same right, like whatever able people are doing.
30% of at least 2,000 people who have suffered a stroke will almost completely recover. Another 30% will need a lot of assistance for the remainder of their lives, while 40% will need some assistance in their daily activities.
I think one of the causes of stroke for me is my diet and working in all my life. One of the things I'm challenged with every day is walking, moving about to do my work.
A stroke happens when the supply of blood to some parts of the brain is cut off. It can affect speech, eyesight, memory, walking and bladder control. Sakyu Sanaivo, FBC News.
A 2-day inaugural senior government officials meeting between Papua New Guinea and Fiji came to an end in Suva yesterday. The meeting was organized to follow up on the various commitments agreed to by Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and Fijian Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama. One of the main issues discussed during the meeting was the assistance pledged to Fiji by the PNG government during the September elections last year. PNG had pledged to provide 20 million Fijian dollars, which is equal to 50 million Kina in this regard. However, only half has been received by Fiji.
The other half we hope to receive soon, after we've gone through some of the processes as agreed to by both leaders that we need to do, particularly in terms of acquittals and our reports before the Papua New Guinean government will then consider the disbursements of the second tranche of 20 million Fijian.
Land was also an issue raised during the 2-day meet. Fiji hopes there will be a chancery to accommodate our diplomats in the PNG capital of Port Moresby.
The second is to do with the understanding that both governments have on the reciprocal allocation of land for our chancery. That is to house our high commissions as well as other residences if so required or needed. So on our part, Fiji had allocated a piece of land, and work is continuing or ongoing to have it ready for Papua New Guinea to build each sanctuary in 2017.
Discussions also centered on trade and investment, defense cooperation, the PNG-Fiji Business Council, investment in PNG LNG project, tourism and hospitality courses offered by Fiji to PNG, and engagement of workers under the Fiji Overseas Public Service Scheme. The next meeting will be held in Papua New Guinea in 2017. The audiovisual industry is increasingly becoming a very important part of the Fijian economy. With more than 50 productions shot in the country last year, the industry has contributed significantly to Fiji's GDP.
That extra bit I'll have to find inside myself. So I've come to Fiji to test my courage, or as the Fijians call it, kaukaua. Traditionally, the first test is firewalking.
These productions have been shot right here at home, at the right location, white sandy beaches and friendly people. It wasn't a contender for the Oscars, however, it's generating revenue to the country's tourism market. Employing around 440 locals in various productions, the audiovisual industry has contributed 0.2% of the GDP last year and earned over $55 million in direct income.
The income generated from the industry has increased significantly by over 220%. And the number of productions has also increased from 28 in 2013 to about 52 last year.
Last year's budget for all productions totaled $19.5 million, of which $15.5 million was spent in Fiji. This is a remarkable increase compared to 2012, when only 35.7% of the production expenses was spent here.
Apart from direct benefits, as was referred to, the production of films and shows in Fiji increases the visibility of our country on the international stage. In December 2010, the government increased the amount of film rebate from 35% to 47%, making Fiji one of the most attractive filming destinations in the world.
Film Fiji says the economic benefits will not be limited to just the activity created during the production.
Locals that are employed by the production benefit from the spend that the production does, and in that local area the production will spend a sizable amount of money to produce the show, so the economy of that local area benefits. And then after that show is successful, the fans of that movie will probably want to come and see that particular village or that particular waterfall or that particular scene, and it could become a popular tourist destination.
Like any other country, we should expect continuous long-term tourism benefits from these productions. Fiji's increasing tourism figures mean that more and more tourists are coming to our country, largely due to travel agents who are selling Fiji to travelers in their countries. Christopher Chand has more.
Close to 160 travel agents from Australia and New Zealand are in the country this weekend to experience and to better understand Fiji as a tourist destination.
The most important thing to know is that our tourism is consistently growing year by year, and it's mainly due to our good friends from Australia and New Zealand, people like you.
Last year's visitor arrivals of over 692,000 is the highest, a significant increase from both major markets of Australia and New Zealand.
For selling Fiji, and in particular for becoming our new Matai specialists. That program was formed many years ago, and it sort of died away a little bit. But it's been revived, it's been rejuvenated, and I believe all 156 of you are now Matai specialists.
The Matai program was created by Tourism Fiji to provide the international travel industry with adequate knowledge to sell Fiji. All these travel agents will play an important role in further driving up tourism numbers. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
The Fiji Broadcasting Corporation's Mutupala event attracted over 2,000 people. The FMF gymnasium was packed to full capacity with people from all walks of life and of all ages. They were treated to a night of fun and entertainment from our very own Batinitano team, which consists of Koliadi Buadati, Nimilotene Sorotambua and Apeni Sarakanade. Entertainment was provided by top Fiji bands like Waikola Ketavua, Vonganindela Indokindoki, Seni Bondomoni and vocalist Kerin Damundamu.
Last night's event actually turned out bigger and more than we'd expected, seeing as the last Mbutupala that we had was around July last year in the West, and the Batinitano show was last featured in September last year. So we really had actually expected a big turnout, but not as the way it turned out last night, because I think we filled that gymnasium to capacity and it was beyond our expectations.
The annual event is hosted by FBC's Bulala FM radio station. Coming up after the break, social welfare officers come under the spotlight following complaints from the public.
My name is Luca. I live on the second floor.
Gold FM, only the classic hits. I hope you're having fun so far. You're listening to The Ride, and I'm Kara, taking you through your afternoon. Stay with me to listen to more awesome classics right here on The Ride. Mulubinaka, for awesome sounds in the afternoon. Wonderful, wonderful classics. Join me on The Ride every weekday right here on Gold FM, only the classic hits from 2 to 7.
Just don't ask me what it was. I think it's cause
बॉलीवुड हीरो पंती रे. Get this.
हीरो 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 सपना दिखेला बंद करो.
क्या करो यार, सबको आती नहीं, मेरी जाती नहीं.
मिर्ची मस्त मॉर्निंग में हूँ अश्निल सिंह.
हाय, मैं हूँ काजल.
शामिल हो जाए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे
6 AM to 9 AM.
मिर्ची FM, it's hot.
Welcome back, this is FBC News. Staff of the Ministry for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation have been told to stay focused on their work and value their jobs. Minister Rosie Akbar made the sound advice during the ministry's senior managers meeting in Suva this morning. Shireen Lata reports.
The Minister for Women says she has received numerous complaints against staff members from people who need services the most. Most of them complained about the attitude of the welfare officers who serve them.
I do understand you have work pressures. I do understand sometimes you are pressed for time. You have demands from your clientele that you may not be able to address, but please at all times keep your cool. Keep your cool. Try not to utter words which are harsh. Okay? Try not to utter words which are harsh and unrespectful.
Rosie Akbar says she is aware of the challenges faced by staff members on a daily basis. However, customer service is the main priority for the ministry.
Of course, we've got to respect every clientele that enters our office. Whether it's a beggar, whether it's a disabled man, whether it's a poor man, whether it's a whichever one comes in, elderly person, please assist. Get out from your desk if it has to be. If the person needs assistance to walk through your office, I think our job expects us to do that.
The minister also gave a stern warning to staff on the leakage of information outside of the ministry. Staff found not abiding by the rules might end up losing their job.
We've come across some very sinister episodes which has been very damaging.
Staff members were also reminded to work towards the vision of the ministry, which is empowering the disadvantaged. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
Minister for Infrastructure Pio Tikundondua is the first cabinet minister to visit Navunitivi village in the highlands of Nakowanrara during his tour of the Western Division this week. Tikundondua and his team traveled to Navunitivi village where requests have been made for government to upgrade their roads and to help with the installation of solar panels. He also visited Navala village in Bao, which is likely to be connected to the electricity grid under the Fiji Electricity Authority in April. On Monday, he had commissioned the extension of the electricity grid at Tuvu Navosa, which will provide power to 3 villages.
This occasion, it's meaningful for us because we've come right up to the top and witnessing for us the difficulties that the people face here, primarily for roads, on roads. You saw, what it was like coming up here. So they're living in very, very difficult conditions, and we hope to be able to, to do something about it and make their, enlighten their burden.
Tikondondo also met staff of the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport during his tour to the west. We need to find a balance between conservation and the livelihood of Fijians who depend on the fishing industry. That's exactly what the WWF Pacific is working on, from the grassroots to the policy level. Edwin Nand reports.
The bottom line for WWF Pacific is finding a middle ground to protect fish stock and still allow people to make a decent living.
We are trying to actually define a model where the fishermen can actually benefit from a quality sale of their fish and get premium prices for it, and ensure that there's benefits that's captured along the way.
Francis Areki has been running the Sustainable Seafood Project since last year and spoke at a USP scientific seminar today. He says most of the fish and seafood sold in Viti Levu is caught in the north and shipped over. In some instances, by the time the fish reaches Suva, for example, it's a week old.
We roughly have some idea of how the fish actually gets to Suva from the north, but that's essentially what we're trying to encapsulate with the project, is to actually map out very clearly, like when a fish is fished out from Vanolevu, like how many points of handover does it go through before it actually reaches Suva and onto your plate.
Another problem is fishermen not storing their catch properly. They don't use ice, and the fish goes bad by the time it reaches shore.
I don't think anyone is at fault with the non-use of ice, but it's something that we should actually encourage and promote, that when fishermen go out to use ice, to actually maintain the quality of fish before it gets to the market.
The WWF has also involved hotels and resorts, encouraging them to only buy fish caught through sustainable methods. At the end of the project, WWF Pacific hopes to have a system where every tier of this sector acts responsibly and manages to earn a living. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
The Education Ministry has outlined its mission for the next 5 years to make Fiji a smarter nation. It has launched its Education Sector Strategic Development Plan and the 2015 Annual Corporate and Business Plan yesterday. Education Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says in the next few years, he wants to make Fiji a peaceful and a progressive nation through quality education.
That vision of the government of Fiji to have a knowledge society is supported by Minister of Education's vision of having quality education for change, peace and progress. So the Minister of Education's vision dovetails into government's vision of having a knowledge society.
The demanding years for the Education Ministry starts now, as new reforms will be undertaken to elevate quality in every aspect of the education system. Fiji will be the first Pacific Island country to host the Ship for World Youth Global Assembly later this year. While launching the Ship for World Youth website yesterday, Minister for Youth and Sports Laisinia Tuitumbo says it will be an opportunity for the alumni members from various countries to share their experiences and ideas. Over 150 young members from over 200 countries are expected in Nadi during August to experience Fiji's culture in a cross-cultural exchange format. Participants will live in villages, visit institutional establishments and significant landmarks, and engage with youth communities.
During the program, as you understand, youth often deepens their friendship and understanding of participating countries. Around 64 countries, including Japan, have participated so far, with 85 ports of call have been visited, including Fiji.
The Ship for World Youth Initiative is an international cultural exchange program administered by the Cabinet Office and the Japanese government. Coming up on FBC Sports, swimming and weightlifting scooped major prizes at Fiji Sports Awards. And Suva Primary School's netball competition starts.
Sarwanduru na kaloko na Radio Fiji 1 and Domi Wiki na Bungani Binano. Nisambula Binaka na Ngonoboro Taki Ronga Seri na Ngona Nindreko Malolo. Nisambula Binaka, Oyo Meli Kilani. Ningina Magatumana Nongo Bengarawi, Maina Moniti Kina Warombuka and a Rua Kina Vanakaloko, Nangona ni Rongo Manivesana. Vakina Wono Nangona ni Ronga Seri and a Radio Fiji 1 and Domi Wiki na Bungani Binano.
रात को सपने तो जरूर आए होंगे। ये सपने क्या कहते हैं?
और बस थोड़ी ही देर में देखेंगे कि आज आपकी किस्मत के सितारे करते हैं क्या इशारे।
नई आशाएं और हौसले भरी सुबह की सुहानी शुरुआत करें हमारे साथ। मैं आपकी हमसफर मोहिनी
और मैं दीप्ति। सोमवार से शुक्रवार सुबह 6 से 9 तक
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन पर।
Leading spots tonight, Meli Malani from swimming and Apollonia Vaivai from weightlifting scooped the two major prizes at the 2014 Fiji Sports Awards in Suva last night. Both Malani and Vaivai were not present to receive their awards. Malani received the Sportsman of the Year award for his participation in national, regional and international swimming competitions, including the World Championships and the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Vaivai scooped the Sportswoman of the Year award for winning Fiji's lone medal at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow last year. Other award recipients were Epeli Tukuza of Fiji Hockey taking out the Technical Official of the Year award, Tomasi Tamberanimbo of Table Tennis was Volunteer of the Year, Eliasa Irav of Powerlifting was Coach of the Year, Cricket Fiji was awarded Sports Organization of the Year. The Vodafone Fiji Under-20 football side took out the Team of the Year award. Fiji FA believes the award should inspire the players to perform better at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand.
We are very grateful to the organization and the organizers for having recognized football. You were quite correctly in saying that it took us 76 years to qualify for a World Cup event, and that has been recognized by the sports committee here. So we are very grateful, we are very happy that we have been recognized.
The Prime Minister's personal award went to boxing. Toka Toka Westfield Dragons has retained the Matintar Sevens title after defeating Army Green 31-14 in the cup final this afternoon. The Epeli Langilo coach side defeated Vuda Giant 24-5 in the first semi-final to meet Army Green, who defeated Wardens Gold 14-12. Teams showed immense competition where upsets were created with top team Red Rock losing in the main eliminations to battle in the bowl division.
The top rugby sevens teams in the country, they are here with us, and so as expected, rugby sevens standard here is at a very high standard. We are very happy with that.
In the other final, Siamadia defeated Saunaka 29-19. To win plate, Red Rock defeated Hideaway Hurricanes 26-12. To win bowl and Food Hall, Nawaka won Shield after defeating Bula Water Park 17-10. Ba and Lambasa played to a 0-0 draw in the Lone Rewa Galaxy Premier League football match at Subril Park today. Ba Shamil Rao and Lambasa's Tayone Kervanua were given the marching orders in a match watched by close to 4,000 spectators. In tomorrow's matches, Suva look to maintain their unbeaten run as they host Nandronga, while Rewa will host Lautoka at Ratu Thakombo Park in Osori. Meanwhile, in the match played last night, Samuel Andrundu scored the winner as Nandi defeated Nandronga 1-0. The Suva Primary School's netball competition kick-started today. 19 schools are taking part in the competition, competing in the under-9 to under-14 grades. The schools took part in a knockout competition today as organizers want to build up for the main competition. The main competition starts next Saturday at the National Netball Center in Suva. Fine weather prevailed over most parts of the country today. However, a trough of low pressure remains low moving over Vanuatu and extends southeastwards over to south of Fiji. Another trough flies over Solomon Islands and extends southeastwards over to New Caledonia to south of Fiji. Suvanandi, Savu and Lambasa all recorded 33 degrees on the temperature chart today. The other two centers, Lautoka and Ba, both recorded 32 degrees. Tomorrow there will be occasional showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands. Elsewhere, showers especially in the afternoon or evening, but some fine weather in the morning. Further outlook, some showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands. Elsewhere, finer part afternoon or evening showers, east to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Recapping our main stories, Fiji records continuous increase in stroke cases over the last 4 decades. Papua New Guinea to hand over remainder of 50 million Kina elections planned to Fiji, and Film Fiji anticipates a bigger number of movie productions to be shot in Fiji. To our poll segment, this week we ask, are you satisfied with the level of debate in Parliament? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenscience@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News, or if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's the bulletin for today. We will leave you with footage from the FBC Bulala event last night. I'll be back tomorrow. Good night.
It's now 6 o'clock right here on Big Breakfast. Today FM, today's hit music.
Hey, I'm Pauline.
And I'm Alan. Tune in to the Breakfast Show on Today FM with Pauline and I every weekday morning.
From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Today FM, today's hit music.